Hey guys, John Oliver here, Agile Wealth Partners. We're doing an Agile Wealth Weekly, and we're probably going to talk about one of the most important things when it comes to your planning for retirement, and that's Social Security. And what's interesting, Steve, when you were doing this research, and obviously, we know a lot about Social Security and the rules and the regulations and everything. I mean, there's so much to it. But what did we learn, which was probably the most crazy thing that we learned about Social Security when you were researching?
Well, one of the things I learned was that 96% of people, and I have a link here to the source, an article I saw, they don't make the optimal claiming decision, meaning most people, most families are leaving money on the table that they could be using as part of their retirement income. That really shocked me. They're not choosing the best choice to optimize their benefits between them and their spouse. Um, So really, one of the things I came to the conclusion of, it's really vital to meet with a professional because there's some very intricate strategies and rules that you need to work out to really maximize this income. And most people are relying on Social Security for a big chunk of their guaranteed income for retirement. So it's really crucial that you maximize it.
So today we're going to go through 4 things you may not have known about Social Security. Um, one of the things that we want to make sure that everyone understands is that we talk about here in bold. You can see near the top it says, "Can you plan for a Social Security gap?" So if 96% of us are doing it wrong, that means then this is what Nick and I see all the time. They walk in and we meet a 63-year-old. They're like, "Oh yeah, no, I claimed at 62." Meet a 61-year-old. "Oh yeah, I went to Social Security. I'm ready to do it." That's it. Right when they hit that 62 belt, they're ready to claim because they need the income. But sometimes they don't understand there might be a gap in the income that they can plan for by using other assets. And we're not going to get too deep into that, but just keep that in mind that that's why 96% of people do it wrong. They're not taking in the whole situation, right, Nick?
Well, and the big thing is I think it's the more important thing to consider here is that they haven't sat down with a professional, whether it's us or someone else. They haven't sat down with a financial planner and actually looked at it. What's the most optimum? What makes sense for me? So they're just shooting from the hip saying, hey, I need income. I'll just take Social Security at 62, and they think that's the best thing to do.
And then what happens is when they get that first check, the first thing that they don't realize is the thing you may not know about Social Security is our number one is it's taxed. So people don't realize their Social Security is taxed. Nick, can you explain a little bit about how the taxation works on
Yep.
Social Security?
Yeah, absolutely. So for an individual, for someone filing individually, your income, if it's less than 25,000, none of your Social Security is taxable. If your income is between 25 and 34,000, it's 50% taxable. So using easy math, your Social Security is $1,000 a month. That means $500 is going to be reported on from a tax standpoint if your income's between 25 and 34. If you're over 34,000, which we talk to clients about this all the time because they don't really realize it. When you get to the point of you got to pull required minimum distributions from your IRAs, that's added into this equation. And John and I always call that forced income. What's your forced income look like? And when you start bringing that up, everyone's like, well, wow, 34,000, that's not really that hard to get over that. No, it's
Nope.
not. It's the same thing with the married filing jointly. 50,
844.
yeah, 32 to 44 is 50%, 85% is over 44. Well, 44,000 is not much money for a married couple in retirement, especially if you have even a small or reasonable pension, or if you're relying on your IRA or other assets to help bridge the Social Security gap.
Nick, does Social Security count in this income formula?
So
Some of it.
according to a CPA that we actually had at one of our workshops, He said 50%
Exactly.
is actually counted. So as
That's
an
right.
example, again, $1,000 in Social Security a month, that's 12,000 a year. That means $6,000 counts toward this 44 or 32, to
Exactly.
whatever the amount is, it counts toward it.
Maybe
So,
add you go. I was say add your pension,
right.
add your
So that's,
part-time work,
that was
whatever that is.
all those things. And that was kind of my next point is if you're married, so let's say the one spouse has $1,000 a month, the other spouse is $2,000 a month, which is very common. The one spouse was part-time or stay at home most of her working career or his working career, raising the kids and helping more around the house, whereas the other spouse is the primary breadwinner. And all of a sudden you got $3,000 a month, cut that in half. That's $18,000 a year that counts toward that 44. Then you got, if you have a pension and or IRAs you're pulling money from, well, all of a sudden, do the math. If you need 25 or 30,000 from your IRA to supplement and the Social Security, you're almost right at the 44.
Feels like you're being taxed twice on the same money. And I think that's why a lot of people might be surprised to learn that they quite likely could be paying tax on their Social Security benefits.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and don't do the math on how much you paid into the system because sometimes it can make you a little upset.
Don't do that.
So Steve, you recently retired from your first career, and you said that you've been working on a strategy for you and your wife that might be highlight our second thing that you may not know about Social Security.
Yeah, the second thing that you might be surprised to know, guys, is you or your spouse could claim on your own benefits. We're going to assume for this that your spouse's benefits are going to be higher. So one strategy you could use, and it might not be the best for everybody, but one that you can use that people might not know, you could claim, let's say your spouse has more benefits than you. You could claim on your own, it's starting at age 62, which would be less than your spouse's benefits. And then this is assuming your spouse is not already claiming benefits. If they're claiming benefits already, this strategy wouldn't work. If they're not claiming benefits, you can claim your own at age 62. And then when your spouse reaches full retirement age and starts claiming benefits, you can now switch and receive about 50% of your spouse's benefits, assuming that it's going to be bigger than what you were getting on your own. There's things to look at with a professional because you really got to make sure all these numbers work. But for my wife, I was really the major breadwinner. She stayed home and worked part-time here and there most of our time together. This could be a good strategy for us to use to get some income for the family at age 62, and then she can switch to mine later on because I want to continue working, and I'll most likely put off claiming my own benefits till quite a bit later. So it could be a good strategy to use that people may not know about.
Excellent. I'll take number 3. It's kind of my favorite. So we work with a lot of retirees that a lot of times what we try to do is our best job in getting them back into actually earning income. So that might be starting a business, doing an online sales business, doing some consulting. So you might find yourself ready and eager to claim on your Social Security at 62, but you might also find that yourself, making great money at the age of 65 doing consulting for $50,000 a year on the side. You do not have to continue your Social Security. You can go ahead and suspend that, let it continue to actually build credits, which something most people don't know, and then find yourself, hopefully with a planner, you're working with a planner, working with a team, or just find yourself slowing down on your consulting or your side business, whatever that may be, and then going ahead and turning it on, which is going to highlight our fourth. Yeah, that's going to highlight our fourth, did you know, very nicely, because what you might find is yourself just getting yourself closer to that magical age of age 70. And so, Nick, can you explain what is that age 70 and how does that actually help us out?
Well, it helps us out tremendously because between the ages of full retirement So let's assume full retirement 67. So those 3 years between 67 and 70, you can earn delayed retirement credits of 8% per year. So, and that's a huge advantage when you're talking about guaranteed income and you're talking about guaranteed 8% for 3 years. I mean, there's just nothing that can provide that in today's world.
What's the 10-year bond paying right now?
1.5?
No, not even half.
Not even, maybe 1?
Yeah,
Well,
now
actually,
half.
if you're talking the 10-year treasury, it's at what, 60 bips, 70 bips?
Yeah.
So it's less than 1%.
Correct. So in the past, that number looked very normal. It looked like, oh, I can go to the bank and usually get 4 or 5%. I can get 6 or 7 on a CD. It was built for that time period when interest rates were what we call maybe in the middle of the range of what they were, very high, very low. Where right now they were considered in the middle, and 8% was like, oh, it's like a nice little incentive. Now it is so powerful. That is probably the easiest 8% that you're going to make. I mean, we look at products every day that we hope that they give some sort of like what they would call a roll up or a guaranteed benefit, a guaranteed performance benefit. So if you have 100 grand the next year plus 8%, 108, we look all the time for those, and those are starting to get less and less because obviously interest rates are lower. So they're not going to guarantee you 8% when the guaranteed interest rate on the 30-year treasury right now is 1.5%.
Right.
Okay. So make sure you put that into your planning and take advantage of that. Planning is all about taking advantage of all those little things that you can take advantage of, the free lunches, because there's not a lot of free lunches out there.
No.
So real quick, we did want to mention number 5. Then you want to, Steve, just real quick?
Yeah, this is pretty complicated, so we're not going to really get into it, but I was interested to find out that you, as a divorced spouse, you may be able to claim on your ex-spouse's work history. And there's a lot of rules on that. So that would really be something to meet with a professional on and really make sure. But I was surprised to find that you may be able to do that if you fit the criteria. So that's something you also would want to talk to someone about. That could be something that would really benefit you.
So what can you guys do next? What should you be doing? We've got some great resources for you. Number 1, this is Steve's big thing. Go and start your SSA.gov account. Okay, so we've got the link right there. So we're going to actually post this. You're going to have access right to this outline. Go start your online Social Security account. It'll help guide you through some of the basics of what you're trying to get it done here. It also gets you into the system. Then you don't have to worry too much about those random Social Security statements that you get and you don't even know when you get them. You could just go look at any time. Yeah, I don't even know the rhyme or reason on those. We've got a free, no obligation Social Security planning tool. It's a 2-page guide that if you guys request that guide, we will get it to you. It's based on 2020, so it's all updated. It's a nice Q&A format. We found this to be a very helpful guide, so we would love to share it with you. What else can they do, guys?
You can contact us. One of the best ways to really find out and contact us is all through our website, which is agilewealthpartners.com. You can also just contact us directly if you want to schedule a call, a meeting. We've been doing a lot of virtual meetings during the time that we have right now. We've got a lot of links on our Facebook page, including a really good post about Social Security and 14 things you can do on that Social Security website. And you can just, through our website, request that no obligation planning tool. Those are all great ways to get a hold of us and start the process of really digging in to maximizing your Social Security benefits.
Absolutely.
We did put one other resource here. This is right on the Social Security website. Let me find that one here.
Yeah, that's
Pretty good article, and there's a lot of these on that Social Security website. By the way, when you go on there, one of the first things you're going to want to do is estimate. You can put in different scenarios and estimate what your Social Security benefits might be with different scenarios. But they have a good thing here about thinking of retiring, different things to consider. Should you wait? Should you file early? Shows you different benefit amounts depending on when you might retire, shows you how to apply online for benefits. I would really caution you here again, get with a professional. And once you start applying for benefits, doesn't always mean you can reverse that decision later on if you find out that might have been a mistake.
Correct.
So this is a good tool, and there are a lot of them on there. What I don't think is a good idea is to base all your decisions based on who you might talk to at the Social Security office or what's on their website. These are not always highly paid professionals that are going to be able to maximize based on your exact circumstances. So you really, good information, but take that information and meet with a professional.
Yeah, they can boil down the answer for you, but you need to give them you need to give them the whole guide, right? And you're not going to be able to do that unless you. So I would say take a look at these guides that we're giving you guys. Take a look at the Social Security guide that we just showed you, and then I would reach out and say, that you would like to get a Social Security optimization, one-on-one call.
One more thing I've mentioned, a lot of the articles I referenced, the AARP website does have a really good resource, a lot of questions and answers that could also give you some good information that you can use when you meet with your financial planning professional.
I agree. Nick, any closing thoughts?
No, I mean, the big thing with Social Security is, as most people know, but I'll kind of reconfirm. I mean, this is if you don't have a pension, this could be a major part of your fixed income that you're needing or wanting to live off of outside of other assets. So this is something, maximizing this, especially if you're healthy and you plan on living a long time in retirement. This is one of the biggest things you can maximize and take advantage of. So making sure you look at all scenarios and that you sit down with a professional before you elect is key.
Yeah, you might be making a decision at 62 that you're living with for the next 35, 40 years.
Correct.
In fact, longevity showing quite likely you or your spouse is going to be living with that decision for decades and decades. So
well, and
really
we've actually done, optimization, for clients. And I mean, the different scenarios by making a wrong one could cost you $100,000 to $200,000 over the course of 20 or 30 years in retirement. So it is a very, very big decision that you just don't want to take lightly.
So go through all that information, get yourself kind of acclimated, and then as you get more and more questions, reach out to a professional and see if you can figure out kind of the best scenario for you. For that, my name's John Oliver with Agile Wealth Partners. We appreciate you guys spending time, and I hope you guys got something out of this.
I'm Steve Livingway. Thanks for giving us your time.
And I'm Nick Bohr, and thanks for taking the time to listen.
Take care.
Take care.